karmic justice has been served to Finance and Dream Pro by the WWE World Happiness Champion Karma and their new bestie Hobbsy, the Happiness Fighter Army General and Leader tonight. Wait, what's Hobbsy doing? She's attacking Karma out of the blue. Why? We thought they were friends, but apparently they were not.
I told you I was coming for you and my happiness championship, Karma. My name is Hobbsy and welcome to the Happiness Fighters Army, where we're all about fighting for happiness and our health against our own vision of our own darkness, be mental, physical, life situation, and the big bad world. Well, the backlash has been lashed out, people. Backlash 2025 is over, done and dusted. And I will say it wasn't a great, oh my god, I love every match kind of PLE, but it wasn't all bad as well. It was somewhere in the middle. And I can't wait to see where some of these storylines go in the future. Now, speaking about storylines, I want to talk to you guys quickly about taking on my rivals in WWE Skit Series and where it's going in the next couple of months now of the actions because of Hobbsy, the Happiness Fighter Army General and Leader, attacking Karma after their match at Backlash. And that is that we are going to step away from the wrestling world a little bit and move more into Karma's world of the karmic ancestral plane, we'll call it. And I'm going to have so much fun writing these future episodes. I can't wait for you guys to see Saturday Night Main Event, especially the ending. That is very, very interesting. But I want to give you guys a little teaser. The person that attacked Karma is not Hobbsy, the Happiness Fighter Army General Leader. She has been taken over by a karmic demon, we'll call it. And that karmic demon is Rametta. And like all my characters in this skit series, it is based off of either a part of my personality or something I have to face in my real life. For example, Darkseid is basically my dark thoughts with facing like depression, anxiety, all that. The anxiety twins are actually based off of my actual anxiety and my social anxiety. Jolene Hobzel is based off of my crazy joyful side and I'm really happy sort of thing. And Hobbsy, the Happiness Fighter Army General and Leader, is based off of my inner happiness man, confident energy. And Rametta is the same. She is based off of a part of me that I really hate and really want to get rid of. But it's hard when you are a Happiness Fighter Army member and you're someone that's been fighting the darkness for at least 15 years, we'll say, actively for the last 3 years, but overall 15 years in general, and you've been fighting for the happiness for so long, but you have obstacle against obstacle against obstacle put in your place, and when you finally get to that happiness place, it gets taken away, or you sabotage it, or something goes wrong, and it builds up. The frustration of that builds up and builds up and builds up and becomes a ticking time bomb sometimes in my real life. And I thought no better way to release that inner rage than write a character into this skit series. So Rametta, the karmic demon of rage, is based off of my inner rage and frustrations of facing rejection in jobs, friends, etc. All the illnesses I have to deal with, my mental health as well, the fight for the Ultimate Dream Championship, which is me meeting the man Becky Lynch at a PLE of some sort. Now it looks like it's going to be WWE TakeOver in Perth and at Crown Jewel maybe. If she's there, the frustrations that go along with that as someone on financial welfare system in Australia and the finance situation that goes with that, that is finance in the skit series and anything else basically that really just pisses me off in my real world. And I am having so much fun and letting out so much anger. And it's more fun playing evil characters, I'll say. And the reason why I didn't write her as a separate character and as someone that's taking over Hobbsy's body is because, like I said, Happiness Fighter Army members have really great happiness moments. We have really sad moments as well, fun in the darkness, but we also have a lot of frustration moments. So that's why I wrote it as a alter ego, I will call it, of Hobbsy, because the two collide together basically in a nutshell. And yeah, so that's why Hobbsy the Happiness Fighter will be going away for a while. I just don't really feel happy at the moment. It's more frustration and anger. But she will be coming back in a really epic way. I've got the storyline in my head. I just got to write it down and film it and edit. But I can't wait for you guys to see what I have planned for the next couple of months. It's going to be epic. So yeah, if you guys are loving this skit series, let me know in the comments as well. Now, let's get on to my review of Backlash 2025, shall we? We're going to start on the first match of the night, and that was the Fatal 4-Way match for the United States Championship between the United States Champion Jacob Fatu, Priest, Drew McIntyre, and LA Knight. Now, this match, brilliant, genius, very fast paced. I was having a hard time keeping up, writing notes, so it gets a big tick. It was one of those matches I liked. So, yeah, we started the match with Drew McIntyre and Priest beating on each other, and then we had LA Knight and Jacob Fatu beating on each other. Then at one point we had a little bit of teamwork between Priest and LA Knight onto Fatu, which I really like that. I really like to see in a Fatal 4-Way a little bit of teamwork between two people. So we had a Samoan drop by Fatu onto Priest on the ring barricade. At one point we had a stare down moment between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu, like they were at opposite ends of the ring, and that was epic. You could feel the tension between these two. And then it led into a back and forth moment between these two. We had Fingers to the Eyes by Drew. We had a BFT. We had a South of Heaven and a Claymore all in a quick sesh, which was epic. And then it looked like Drew was going to win at one point. He had the pin, but then Priest pulled the ref's legs out like he did ages ago. I just can't remember what PLE it was. My brain's not with it still. And then those two just started brawling into the crowd and went off their own little way. And then at one point we had Priest give Drew the finger to the eye. At this point they were out in the crowd as well. The moment of this match for me would have to be the South of Heaven chokehold by Priest onto Drew onto like a table in the crowd, like out in the crowd area, and those two were like just knocked out because of it. That was epic. I love really great Fatal 4-Ways where like two men go off and they go into the crowd or they use weapons or something, and then the other two are just wrestling. I really love that. We haven't not seen that for a while, and I think that's what made this match epic. Then it looked like Jacob Fatu was down and out and LA Knight was going to win. He had Jacob on the announce table, and then Solo pulled Jacob's leg. So then LA Knight pulled Jacob's leg and saved basically Jacob from any harm. After Solo attacked LA Knight, we had a mystery opponent come into this match, and there was rumors swirling around it was going to be Jeff Cobbs. Now, I don't know who this is. I've never seen him wrestle. He's new to me, but if you've seen him, you know who he is. And it came true. It was Jeff Cobbs. And he attacked LA Knight, and because of this, Jacob Fatu basically won. Now, the confused look on Jacob Fatu's face once he won this match, and before, when Solo came out with Jeff, is setting up really something great, I reckon. I reckon they're finally going to pull the trigger on Solo turning on Jacob Fatu. And if this happens, you could have a new Bloodline member, or you could have Tama Tonga or Tonga Loa come back and team with Jacob, and those two take on Solo and Jeff Cobb at Saturday Night Main Event. I'm calling it. There's going to be division between those two, and I'm here for it. So overall, this was a really great match, though. Then we move on to the announcement of Night of Champions returning June 28th, which means we are getting Money in the Bank and Night of Champions in June. So I cannot wait. Then we move on to the match I was looking forward to the most, and that is the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between fellow Happiness Fighter Army member Becky Lynch versus Lara Valkyria. Now, I want to iterate two things before I get into this match. One, I saw their first match back when Lara was on NXT and she won the NXT Championship off of Becky back in 2023, and I loved that match, and that's why I knew what was going to come from this match, and yeah, it basically delivered what I was expecting, and even more. Two, I'm a fan of both women. I want to iterate that, but as a fellow Happiness Fighter Army member, Becky Lynch was always going to get more of my support than Lara. Nothing against her. I think she's really great. It's just that Becky is an Army member and I'm going to support her no matter what. Basically, in a nutshell. Now, this match was epic. This was so good that I didn't take many notes. So, if I miss anything, I'm sorry, but yeah, this is just what I got down. It's very fast paced too, so I was having a hard time keeping up writing. So, we had a submission move by Lara, a lot of them, which I commend her. That was really brilliant and epic from Lara. At one point, Becky's elbow started bleeding, but I just think she just grazed it or something like that when she fell down one of the times. But you could see it was bleeding. Not to the point where blood was gushing out, but like when you cut yourself sort of thing, or fall over. We had the back exploder from Becky. We had Becky arguing a little bit with the ref at one point, which I love for a persona right now. What I really loved about this match was at one point Becky rubbed it into Lara's fiance right in front of it, and then that fired Lara up. I feel like if Seth was out there and the roles were reversed, it would have worked as well, but I love that moment. Good job on that. An impressive superplex by Lara at one point as well. At one point, Becky tried to use the ropes to assist in a pin, like she used to when Big Time Beck's persona was around, which I love. We had the disarmer from Becky, which I love the disarmer. I love how she's gone back to some of her classic moves. Really works. We had 2 manhandle slams in this match, so that's cool. Then Becky snapped at one point, and I get that. I've done it as well. We all snap with frustration at one point or more in our lives, so I really love that bit, showing that things weren't going her way. She snapped with frustration. I just need to let that anger out. And then at one point, Becky's like, after this snap moment, she's like, F it. I'm just going to grab a chair and I'm just going to beat up on Lara. Well, it looked that way, but then the ref took the chair, and then while the ref was distracted with the chair, Becky revealed the turnbuckle, like removed the padding of the ring in that area, and I thought, okay, this is how she's going to win. She's going to accidentally use the turnbuckle and get the win. We had a thumb to the eye at one point. And in the end, Lara did a roll-up pin and won the match. So, while I'm not happy that Becky didn't win this, I will give her her flowers, and Becky loses the match. And then Becky full-on snaps, does the disarmer on her, and does not let go until security comes out, and then is escorted out, basically. And I really love this because this is really playing into Becky's man heel persona very well. And I think the reason why she did it this way, like the disarmer after the match, is to prove to people, well, I'm not going to win that title, she's not going to have it. And I wouldn't be surprised if on Monday Night Raw, Lyra Valkyria has to advocate the title because she's that injured. Would not be surprised one little bit. And then they could set up a tournament and then have two other women win it. Or you could have Becky win it as well. Either way, I'm here for it. If it doesn't go down that avenue, I feel like Saturday Night Main Event, these two women, again, Street Fight or Hell in a Cell. I'm calling it. I'm calling it right now. These two need to be in a match where they can do most damage to each other without being disqualified or counted out or anything like that. Where they can just let that inner rage out, we'll say, for each other. Now, to fellow having this fight, Army member Becky Lynch. Yes, we may have not brought that title home to the Army, but we will one day soon. I know it. This is not over. Just keep feeding into the anger and that darkness if you have to. Like I say, fight with the darkness, fight with the light. Just keep fighting tonight, and that's what you're going to do. I am freaking out a bit because Hobbsy the Happiness Fighter, Army General Leader, in my skit series, which is taking on my rivals in WWE skit series, and Becky Lynch at the moment are both turning heel, and for different reasons, of course. But it's just the timing that they're turning heel as well, and it's like both started sort of a WrestleMania or around WrestleMania time, and I don't know how long Hobbsy's going to be heel in this, or I should say Romero is going to be heel in this skit series, but if it's exactly the same time as Becky, I will be freaking out. I know this is just a coincidence, but I feel like it's a sign that I'm on the right track. I'm doing everything right to fight that fight to meet Becky Lynch, so I'm freaking out about that. And if Becky Lynch is seeing any of my videos, please let me know. And if she is, I'm making a suggestion. Like I said in my prediction video, I'm making a suggestion as someone that loves writing stories and is the whole reason why she started this skit series, so she can get back to writing again. And that is that we need to have that women's generation war between the next gen and the GOAT, like yourself and Charlotte and Bayley. And the Alexa Bliss talked to Charlotte on Friday on SmackDown. I'm seeing it even more and more and more. I reckon the next step would be on Monday Night Raw, have Alexa Bliss come over. You're backstage, basically, Becky, you're down and out, or something like that. If you're not continuing the Lyra storyline, this could even happen after Saturday Night Main Event if you are facing her at that. And then you look up and you see Alexa, and then Alexa just says, "We need to talk." This can be with or without Charlotte, I don't care. And then slowly we get Bayley on board, and then we get Natty on board, and then at the Women's Evolution PLE or Survivor Series, whichever, it just comes out that there is a War Games match between all you guys, the GOATs, versus the next gen, which will be Rhea, Lyra, Tiffany, Bianca, and Jade, in my eyes. So yeah, if Becky Lynch is watching this or any of my videos, please let me know and please make this storyline happen. Would really appreciate it, but I get if you don't want to. So yeah. And also, anyone that is watching this, let me know if you would love to see that, because I would love to see that. Then we move on to one of the matches I didn't really care much about. It was good, but it was like, we knew it was basically going to happen. And that is the Dominic Mysterio versus the Penta, which is basically the men's Intercontinental Championship match between Dominic Mysterio and Penta. Now, Dom did come out with Judgment Day, but they went backstage. I will give Dom his flowers to turn a suicide dive into a DDT at the same time. That was epic. That was brilliant in my eyes. We had a virtual crossbody from Penta. We had a Bolivian by Dom. A little note to Liv Morgan, his girlfriend, which I liked. And a Mexican Destroyer by Penta on the side of the ring. And then, of course, Kalia comes out and tries to distract the ref, like usual. And Finn and JD beat down on Penta, and then Finn goes to grab a chair, but the ref sees this and says, you're out of there. And then as this is happening, Penta does a suicide dive over the referee onto Carlito and JD. Then Finn steps up and distracts the ref again. And it looks like Penta's going to win. It looks like Penta's down, ready to win this match. And then American Luchador, which I cannot pronounce the name without getting my tongue tied, so I'm just going to call him the American Luchador, that we think is Chad Gable, comes out and basically costs Penta the win, and Dom retains his title. So I reckon, firstly, we are going to get Penta versus this American Luchador, which we all know is Chad Gable, at Worlds Collide. If not, Saturday Night Main Event. Secondly, the way Finn was looking when they panned to Dom being victorious and celebrating with Judgment Day looked very serious. So I reckon they're setting up Finn versus Dom for that title very, very soon. And I'm here for it. I want Finn to leave Judgment Day with JD and just be a tag team with him. I'm done with Finn being in Judgment Day. I'm done with the whole Judgment Day itself. Nothing against any of them. They're really good. I just think it needs to be split up. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that match. Then we have an announcement for our first Saturday Night Main Event match. And that is Jey Uso, Yeet, versus Logan Paul for the World Heavyweight Championship, which I reckon should have been at Backlash, but I get there was already too many really great matches. So yeah, we're getting a Yeet champion, Jey Uso, defending that title against Logan Paul. And I cannot wait, basically. Then we move on to another match that I actually enjoyed a little bit. And that is Pat McAfee versus Gunther. Now, this match surprised me. I really enjoyed it. I was rooting for Pat all the way. We start off with Michael Cole saying that he's going to be biased in this match, calling it because Pat is his friend. Of course, this was going to happen. And then Wade Barrett said he's also going to be a little bit biased, but he's going to try and be the voice of reason, which Wade Barrett and Michael Cole were on commentary for this whole PLE too. I forgot to say that. So yeah. And then we had Pat do some chops onto Gunther. Gunther mocks Pat at one point. Pat gives Gunther a right. Pat also does some boxing moves and some more chops. Gunther does some chops of his own. Michael Cole tells Gunther to finish the match basically at this point because he's just basically playing with his food in a nutshell. In my eyes, Pat punts Gunther. We had a chop off between these two. A big boot by Gunther as well. Gunther at one point invites Michael Cole into the ring. He's like, come on, if you want in, sort of thing, mockery. We had some slaps by Pat. We had a chokehold onto Pat, but it breaks free. Pat does his famous punter move onto Gunther. We had a Boston Crab by Gunther onto Pat, and it looks like Pat's down and out. But then Michael Cole goes from the commentary desk and goes to the side of the ring and is like cheering on Pat. He's like, come on Pat, you can do this. I really like that. I love that friendship between these two, and just to see that in this match was brilliant. And then Gunther at one point brings Michael Cole into the ring, like drags him over the top. Pat locks in a choker hold at one point, and then Gunther does. But in the end, Gunther locks in another choker hold, basically, and Pat McAfee is knocked out, meaning that Gunther wins this match. But what happened after this match, I really like. Gunther actually stays in the ring until Pat's conscious again, and he just basically salutes him, bows his head, showing a sign of respect that he actually respects Pat McAfee and I would say Michael Cole too a bit. So yeah, I really like that. Would have loved to seen someone like rumors going around Goldberg come back, but I get why they didn't do this. But yeah, Pat McAfee, you deserve your flowers. I'm gonna give you a yeet in sign of respect, and I can't wait to see you back on the mic very, very soon. Then we move on to the last match tonight, the 17-time WWE Champion John Cena versus Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship. Now, first off, the way this ended, this match should have been a St. Louis street fight in my eyes. It would have been so much better, but I get why they didn't do this. So Randy comes out, crowd goes wild, hometown hero, etc. Then the chant, let's go Cena, Cena sucks, start before Cena even comes out. And yeah, so Cena comes out, they do announcements, the match starts. And then near the beginning of the match, Cena puts his hand out to say, I respect you, Randy, come on, let's check it. But it ends up being a trap, and Randy gets a poke to the eye. But then Randy pokes John back. A lot of things happen in between this, and then at one point Cena's like, I'm out of here, I don't want to wrestle him anymore, I'm out, I'm done, bye. But Randy's like, no, so he runs out, chases him, and brings him back to the ring, basically in a wrestler sort of way. We have vintage Orton stomps onto Cena at one point, sleeper by Cena, one by Randy as well. We had the 5-knuckle shuffle, but in a more heel, I can't be bothered type of way. We had vintage Orton at one point. And this moment was the moment, in my eyes, I really enjoyed. An AA turned into an RKO all in one move. So both men are down and out after this point. I was like, it was so quick, I missed it. That's how quick this move was. They actually had to slow it down for us fans to see again. That was epic. Then we had another AA by John Cena. We had a RKO by Randy. Another AA by John Cena. Then at one point we had a pump from Cena, but then Randy counters it. And then Cena counters that and pushes Randy into the ref, knocking out the ref. And in this moment when the ref was knocked out, Randy did an RKO and started to do the pin. But because the ref was knocked out, the pin didn't count, and this would have been one of the first times where Randy would have won the championship if the ref wasn't knocked out. And then it goes outside the ring, and then this actually happens again. Cena pushes Randy into the ref and actually knocks out the ref unconscious, then runs Randy into the ring pole, and then Randy comes to just as John's about to do the AA to him onto the announcer's table, and he counters it, and Randy does the AA to John on the announcer's table. So John Cena goes to this announcer's table, and then John's knocked out. Randy goes to grab a table from under the ring. He does that, sets up another AA by Randy, another AA to John Cena, sending him through another table. And then after this, Randy was pretty thirsty, so he grabbed a pine bottle just to have some refreshment. I would do the same thing. Then it gets back into the ring. Randy does an RKO, gets the pin, but because there is no ref, it doesn't really count. And by the time another ref is sent down there, Cena kicks out. Then Cena goes to grab the belt and actually knocks out that ref Then we have an RKO, but there's no ref in the ring, so there's no pin count sort of thing. So at this point, it's like, is the match over or is it done? What's going on sort of thing. And then Nick Aldis comes out to check on the refs, which fair enough, and says like there's no refs more, saying there's no more refs, because when Cena hit the other ref with the belt, you think, okay, it's disqualification, it's finished, but hadn't. And then Randy snapped and just RKO'd everybody, including Nick Aldis. So I think that's going to come back to pay him in the butt. Yeah. Then R-Truth comes out to stop a punt by Randy and gets RKO'd himself. But because Randy's distracted by this, John Cena does a low blow and uses the belt on Randy. And then miraculously, the first ref comes to 1, 2, 3. John Cena wins the match. And I told you guys R-Truth was going to cost Randy the match somehow. I just didn't think this way. So I got this one. I was like, yeah. And yeah. Cena is in the ring after the match. He grabs the mic and basically, in a nutshell, he says, I need real competitors. And that's how the show finishes. But then in the post-show, he's like, I'm sorry the way I've been treating you guys, you interviewers. I want to answer questions. And then R-Truth comes in, and just being R-Truth, he's like, I support you, I got you back, sort of thing. And then John says, if you say one more word, I'm going to put you through this table. He said one more word, and he went through the table. So I reckon they're setting up R-Truth versus John Cena very, very soon for that title. Also, I think we're going to get Randy Orton versus Nick Aldis at Saturday Night Main Event. If not, someone that Nick Aldis is choosing to represent him. But I really want to see Nick Aldis versus Randy Orton at Saturday Night Main Event. That would be epic. But yeah, so that's Backlash in a nutshell. At the beginning of this PLE, I was saying, yeah, it's a 10. By the end of it, I'm going to give Backlash a 9.5. Only because there's a couple of things that we've changed, like the last match, be it St. Louis Street Fight, the Dom and Penta match just didn't really interest me, but that's just me. So Backlash, like I said, gets a 9.5 out of 10 smiley faces. And yeah, so I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about Backlash 2025? Did you like it? Didn't you? What was your favourite matches? And with that, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys are having a happy, joyful day. If not, I'm sending happy and joyful hugs your way.